What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, let's talk about DEC and, in my opinion, the potential end of the DEC overhang that has plagued us for almost 4 years at this point since the SPS airdrop began. Now, here's the thing. What I'm looking at, obviously DEC is at about 87, 88% of its peg value, and it's holding there decently well despite whatever Bitcoin is doing. And we're talking about circulation and scarcity, right? So if we're looking at the DEC distribution here, it looks like the company just bought a bunch more, right? So I think they were like at the 30 million range. They probably bought about 20, 30, anywhere between like 20 to 40 million is what we're seeing them buy on a regular basis, probably about every week or so. But here's the thing. Markets and pools are down to 189. Now, this is fascinating to me because you could probably go back maybe even just a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, and we were in the 250 to 300 million range when it came to the amount of DEC that was in markets and pools. And every time the team would buy and the price of DEC would spike up a little bit, you'd see people sell into that, right? So the markets and pools would come down, right? It would go from 300 down to 250. And then players, right, would sell back into the pools, refilling the DEC there, right? Because they're all just holding maybe for the trade. Now we're not seeing that as much, right? I mean, net, we are down a significant amount when it comes to the amount that used to be in pools versus where we are today, which is at 189. Obviously, players are still holding on to a lot of DEC, so there is a risk there, and there's obviously also a risk with all of the reward cards. But as I kind of called out in a recent video, we're not seeing the action taken upon that, right? We haven't really seen it with the card burn or cards trading below their value. We're starting to see card values rise, which means the people that were holding onto these cards and probably just either buying them below burn value and burning them, or the bot farms, potentially burning them once DEC got higher. It seems as though that could potentially be done, or at least very much minimized. And now, right, the other realization is seeing the pools come down as far as they have, we're seeing the players not selling into them. So there's over a billion DEC sitting in player accounts right now. And I would say, even just a month ago, we weren't sure how much of that was people saving up for Conclave Arcana versus how many people are just, offering this or trying to take advantage of the trade. I don't know. Maybe people are waiting for a little bit more percentage gain, right? Once we get into the 900 Splintoshi range, which we're very close to. But my guess is that with the Conclave Arcana presale happening probably within the next month, sometime within the next 30 days, hopefully. Most of this DEC that's sitting there is probably going to be for that, which means we could be finally at the end of this DEC overhang, which to me is super important, right? So let's assume that the team is roughly going through let's do 30 million now, because we were doing 40 million back when DEC was like in the 600 700 Splintoshi range. Obviously with DEC higher now, we're still seeing, I don't know, maybe we'll call it like $30,000 worth of value that's coming in. So since we're closer to peg, we'll keep it at about 30, probably 35 million DEC per week, or DEC worth of DEC that team has to fulfill the back-end credits transactions. So if we just be conservative and look at that as 30 million, the company is potentially holding on to 2 weeks worth of supply. But I would even say if they get down to 30 million, we've seen them buy, right? We've seen them buy another 30 million. So let's just say, because they want to have maybe kind of a little bit of a safety stock there, we'll say that they're sitting on about 1 week of supply. And then you look at the markets and pools sitting on about 6 weeks of supply, right? I'm just doing like 189 divided by 30, which is roughly 6, a little bit more than 6. So what am I trying to get at here with this? That's 7 weeks worth of supply that is sitting in the pools specifically for credits transactions, right? Now, the thing is, things are going to get a little murky, especially if over the next 7 weeks, we'll call it, right, how much the company is holding versus how much is in the pools. Things will get a little murky because the run rate for what we've had so far is going to change dramatically if the Conclave Arcana presale comes out, and things could get absolutely wild in hopefully a good way, right? But all I'm trying to call out is the fact that we are so close to getting to that point where we'll actually need to start burning SPS for DEC. Now, when the team or any players out there decide to start doing that, I don't know. And again, I mean, players obviously have been doing that, but in very small quantities. When the team starts to do that, right, because they need to fulfill back-end transactions, and it's easier or better for them to buy SPS, actually inflate the price of SPS by, putting that buy pressure on, and then immediately burning it for DEC, that ends up being great for everybody all around, right? It pushes the price of SPS up. The team gets a good amount of DEC. It helps the ecosystem overall, and they get to continue facilitating back-end transactions for credits. So on the whole, I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, 7 weeks, right? So this really, the amount of DEC that's out there would only get us to like the end, like mid to end of May, which again is not very far away. But we know that there's massive things that are happening in that time frame. One of which obviously being Conclave Arcana, and then there's a couple of other areas in which people might feel like there's something worth value, right? The marketing that will come with it. I guess, the marketing, mobile app, and then the campaign foundation mode, like none of those are going to be DEC demand drivers directly. But if they do bring new players in, they could be indirectly, because if these new players do come in and they're just like, you know what, let me buy $20 worth of credits and see what I can get, right? Or let me buy, $10, $50, whatever it is worth of credits. All of a sudden that actually increases the amount of credits that and back-end transactions that the company needs to facilitate, which means they'll be on the market buying more. But even if things were just to remain the way that they are right now, in 7 weeks, is roughly where the math is putting us. I mean, sure, let's round up to 2 months, to 2 months, just to have it be nice and even. And if you want to include 2 weeks worth of supply for the company, I think that's pretty solid. And this is something that obviously we've been tracking here on the channel for a very long time. And to feel as though we are almost at the precipice of this, like coming to the final, like, light at the end of the tunnel moment, is actually really, really exciting, because I don't know what happens next, right? Like, yes, we talked about the flywheel and things could get violent to the upside, which I think has pros and cons. I want to be very honest about that, right? And I'm going to talk about that in a future video, where I want for us to avoid a future DEC overhang, especially with Conclave Arcana coming out. But at the very least, the economy will hopefully be in a much healthier position and situation if we can just get to a situation where we're starting to burn SPS regularly every week, buying and burning SPS regularly every week, the team or players, whenever we need DEC, because DEC is at or even maybe above peg or just close to peg, and it makes sense for players and the company and just the ecosystem to start doing that. Obviously, we've burned about a little bit more than 4% of the SPS supply so far, right? 4.4% with 133 million. But if we can start to do more of that with SPS being well below its value, I think that should be well below, like a penny or 2 pennies, whatever it is. I think that's going to help us in the long run create true scarcity. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.